All right, welcome to Dave's Man Cave. We got another video coming at you. Just wrapped up the budget tool, budget multi-tool with the Wingman from Leatherman and one from Roxxon. And now we've got another one I picked up at Old Town Cutlery. Give them some credit. Great guys. Just happened to see this one on the shelf and price was right and looked really cool. Thought, I don't know how often I'll carry it, but I wanted to have that. I do like the more classic designs, and you don't see a lot of that from Kershaw, honestly. So this one is made in China, as are a lot of the Kershaw knives, but I have a feeling this one's made by the same people that make the Rough Ryder Reserve. So let's pull it out and see what we think. This is the Culpepper, and it's a red bone, got brass on the end. We've got this nice red bone. I like the nail nick. I like the nail nick that it's on both sides so you can just grip it. Much better than the Bokers. Those are nicely machined. Really smooth action. Decent spring. It's not too snappy. So what do we have? We've got a blade that is 3.3 inches with a 3-inch cutting edge. You got a finger choil right there. It's a nice polish. Now the steel on this, I don't know what this is. I don't think it's any kind of high-end steel, honestly. It's just a basic stainless 9CR MOV 13, whatever that stuff is. So I've got a Leatherman specs in my head and I didn't pull these up. This is just an unboxing and impressions. It's a nice clip point. You do have some jimping back here, which is nice. I like the nail nick. The shield is nice and recessed. No proud pins, no cracks, no uneven surfaces or weird gaps on the back. Did a good job putting that together. About this side. Transitions, smooth. My nail's not catching on anything. You can barely feel that there's any transition there. It's pretty good. The inside, they polished the inside. I think this is made by the folks that made Rough Ryder Reserve. I've had a lot of Rough Ryder Reserves. And this one doesn't use the same nail nick, so it's machined a little differently. But there are some similarities. But the thing that I look for is when you look at slip joints from Case and Boker and most of the other companies, they do not put blade stop pins down in there. Rough Ryder Reserve is one of the only ones that I see putting that pin down in there. And that is to smack into that so that that hits. So you get nice, hear that? You hear that? Some nice snappy action without the blade smacking into that hump down there where the spring is. So I don't see anybody else really doing that. And this one does that. So when I look at this fit and finish, I look at the materials, I look at the construction, it makes me think it probably came out of the same factory that's making, this is my Rough Ryder Reserve Barlow. My Case, which is about the same size and slip joint, and actually a pretty good example of a case. This one, the inside is actually polished, and this one's put together pretty damn well. Minimal blade wobble, no blade wobble. A little bit of blade flex, but that thing is locked up tight. That is perfect. There is literally no blade wobble in that. So this is nice. I mean, it's a slip joint. It's a good size, so you can get your hand on it, but it's nice and slim. It's gentlemanly. The edge on it feels okay. Do I have a piece of paper somewhere? Slice. Yeah. Push test. Yeah. So not a bad blade, not a bad slicer. Nice mirror polish. I like the nail nick. I like the jimping. It's a model number 4383RB, whatever that means. But that is the Kershaw Culpepper. So it's kind of cool to see them making a traditional knife. Again, I've been carrying multi-tools lately, but if there was some reason I needed to carry, I was dressed in a suit, I wanted something that was very small, thin in my pocket, but something that looks kind of older and traditional and just with people's perception of knives, would not necessarily raise an eyebrow if you had to open it up, pull it out to open up a package or, do something like that. I like knives like this, something like this that's a, really old design. I mean, they've been making Barlows since what, the 1800s or something like that, maybe even earlier. But that's a nice design. That's a good traditional knife pattern. It's just big enough to be useful. I gave you the blade length before, but the overall length is just under 7.5. So for my XL size hands, that's a perfectly good size. I like the clip point. That should has plenty of belly, so that should make a good slicer, but it's also very, very sharp. Got a little bit of swedge on the top. That'll be a good poker. That'll be a good slicer. Obviously, you need to be careful because it is a slip joint and it doesn't lock. That actually would be kind of cool in a lockback. But yeah, very nice. Very nicely done. It's not going to be any kind of super steel or premium steel or anything like that. Probably won't hold an edge for incredibly long. But, how many people are really doing hard use, unless you're like a carpenter or installing carpets and you're cutting things every day. Yeah, you're probably going to be sharpening it every other day. But you probably wouldn't have this kind of knife for those duties anyway. If you just need a nice pocket knife and you want to spend 55 bucks, what was it? Yeah, 55 bucks. And you want a nice traditional pocket knife from a name brand that you recognize and has a decent reputation, you could hardly go wrong with that guy. I really like the shield. Looks very good. It doesn't stick out and catch on your fingernails, or if you're pulling it on your pocket, sometimes these things, they don't set them in properly and the corner will stick up and grab a thread on your pants pocket on the way out. Nothing like that. It's got a simple Kershaw on that side and model number on that side and the country of origin there. It is made in China. If you don't like that, well, too bad. I do. This is my channel, not yours. The only thing I can say that I don't like about it is that I don't like the lanyard hole. And I know some people like lanyards and stuff. I never put a lanyard on a knife. And for me, just drilling a hole through the whole damn knife, I mean, in Rough Ryder does it, which makes me think this is a Rough Ryder Reserve under the hood. Rough Ryder Reserve does do that. This one here is lined with brass or something, some kind of metal. This one is not. It's just still straight through. But to me, that does ruin the lines a little bit when you're looking at, a beautiful, elegant, clean, classic knife design, and then someone put it on a drill press and put a hole in it. I'm not crazy about that. I'd prefer to do what Case does and just leave it off. And if you want a lanyard, go get a different kind of knife. Or, well, I guess there's no way for them to really hide it in here. You'd have to do a bit more machining and think about how you do that. This thing's crooked too. At the end on that, it's sloped like that. That's just the case. When someone ground it and sanded it and polished it, to get all these edges to match and be smooth, they clearly weren't straight. They had it cocked at an angle and did it like that. And so when you look at the end of that, look at that. Look how crooked that is. That is crazy. That's Case. Very, very hit or miss when it comes to quality and fit and finish. It feels nice and it looks nice, but it's very clearly crooked and angled. So anyway, that's all I've got to say on that. That is the Culpepper. That's a really nice knife. I would carry that. If I'm not carrying a multi-tool, I don't know, something about that. It's just the right size. It's thin. It's light. Only weighs a couple ounces. Really nicely done. Whoever Kershaw went to, and I suspect it was these guys, good job. They make a good knife, whether you like Chinese knives or not. You can't argue with the quality. You can't argue with the price. You can't argue with the design. It's well put together. You don't see the pins at all. Nothing sticking out. No cracks, no blemishes. This is the display model. This is the one that was on the floor getting handled all the time too. And it still looks like this. So they did a really good job. Very impressed. Anyway, that is the Kershaw Culpepper. Do a size comparison, throw it up against my Rough Ryder Reserve Barlow. And the Case Mini Sodbuster, which is a pretty decent knife. I'm down on Case a lot of times because you have to go through a pile of them to get the good one. But yeah, that's pretty. Let's go in order of size. I guess it would be like that. So it's a little bit bigger. But if you don't mind that, I like that. I love that blade shape. That's a really good, useful blade shape. So, all right, everybody. Wanted to keep it under 10 minutes, and we did that. So we'll talk to you later.